Hello guys. So this is new. This is new. In case you missed my first moving vlog with my most recent upload on my channel, I moved house. And this is my first video that I'm filming, my first sit down video that I'm filming with my new little book corner. This isn't permanent, by the way, this is just a temporary setup, so I have somewhere to film, I have somewhere for my books to sit, and yeah, I'm so excited to be filming my first video in my new room. And of course it's the end of the month, so we have our November reading wrap up to all the books that I read in November. I also did just want to mention at the start of this video that I am doing Bookmas this year, which I'm so excited about, and that'll be starting tomorrow. And I'll be uploading every other day up until Christmas, and yeah, I'm really excited about it. Anyway, without further ado, let's get straight into our November reading wrap up. Out of the 7 books that were on my November TBR, I managed to read 4 of them, and I'm actually on to my 5th one, so I'm hoping to have finished that book before December, so hopefully it will be 5 books out of the 7, and in total I read 7 books and I'm on to my 8th. So the first book that I read this month was The Crimson Moth. Guys, I adore every single thing about this book. Everything. It has genuinely become my new obsession, and from the get-go, literally from the first chapter, I was hooked on this book, and that literally continued throughout the whole thing. This is such a fast-paced romantasy. It's so easy to understand this world, so easy to get into it, and I loved Rune and Gideon both separately but also them together, and the way that they would kind of be playing each other. I just loved. Like, these are 2 very smart characters that are kind of 2 steps ahead of the other one, and that is just so interesting to read that dynamic, and it makes it so fun because you just don't know what's going to happen next. This is essentially a witch and a witch hunter dynamic in a world where witches are banned. We have Rune, who is the witch, and she's kind of a witch in hiding, and she's trying to help her fellow witches, and then we have Gideon, who is a very well known, very good witch hunter, like one of the best witch hunters that there are. I just absolutely loved it. It really kept me on my toes as well, because I feel like Rune ended up in so many situations that I was like, I genuinely don't know how you're going to get out of this. Like, I genuinely don't. And the high stakes were there, the anticipation was there, and I also love that it's a duology as well. The second one I'm actually waiting to get in paperback because it comes out in January, and best believe I'll be reading it immediately. And I love that it's a duology because this one just leaves you wanting more, and I'm so happy that I have that to look forward to. So happy. And this was a 5-star read. In case you couldn't tell, this was 5 stars. Then I moved on to And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. This is actually my first Agatha Christie book, and this has definitely made me want to pick up another Agatha Christie book, honestly. And this edition I really love, and I would recommend this edition massively, because not only is it actually stunning, like the inside is stunning, the actual hardcover is stunning, but this one you actually try and work it out, you try and solve the case, and then you have an envelope in the back with the answer in, so it's so fun because you really feel like you want to take part and want to solve what's going on. I actually filmed reading this for a reading vlog, and I was so determined to get it right, honestly, but I actually didn't. I had kind of like the right idea, but just not the right person, which I'm kind of gutted about. But this one I got so involved with, I had a little notebook, I was taking notes on everybody. Because there's so many characters in here, I found that the easiest way to like properly get into the story, because there's about 10 main characters or 10 suspects, and we get introduced to them all really early on, all one after another. So I started taking notes so that I could piece together who was who. Because I feel like that was kind of throwing me off at the start and stopping me properly getting into the story. So I would also recommend doing that, because I feel like that really helped me get into it. But once I kind of got my head around who everybody was, I was really enjoying it, and like I said, very determined to find out who it was and to solve the case. This one, we have these 10 different people who all get invited to this remote island in the middle of nowhere, and essentially they end up going there, and then they start getting killed off one by one, and they start to realise that it can't be anybody else other than who is on the island right now, and so it's very much a whodunit situation out of the 10 people on this island. I also really enjoyed the atmosphere of this one, because there was a storm on this island, and just that stormy atmosphere just made it so much more like creepy and eerie feeling. I also found this so fast-paced because the chapters are so short, and it just made you want to continue reading, and also the actual action that is happening is so fast-paced. Like, there doesn't feel like there's any unnecessary kind of descriptions of things or explanations of things. Like, it's just very fast-paced, very much straight in there, and the pace just continues like that through the whole thing. So I really enjoyed this, and I rated it 4 stars. And I picked up The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. This is a very anticipated classic for me, and I finally got round to it this month, and this is a really hard one to describe. We basically follow Esther, and it's kind of written sort of like a stream of consciousness, and we're very much in her head, we're very much with her and experiencing things with her, which can be very challenging at times to read and tough to read. But we essentially have her and her experience in New York working as an intern for this New York fashion magazine, and it is very much like we see the world through her eyes through this entire thing, and I found this so interesting to read. I will say that the second half of this is definitely harder to read than the first half, but I think it's so interesting the way that her writing kind of changes. Like, it becomes a lot more lucid towards the second half of the book, and I find that really interesting how it kind of mirrors her mental health and the space that she was in mentally. And I think there are some really relatable things in here, especially for women, and I do definitely think that it has a big representation of what Sylvia Plath herself was going through in her life, because this is also partly based on her and her life. It's a difficult one because I'm glad that I read it. Like, the analogies in here are something that I definitely think I will take away with me, like the fig tree analogy, but also the bell jar analogy. I think I've literally thought about that since I put this book down. So I'm really glad that I read it, but I don't think it's one that I would necessarily recommend unless it's one that has definitely intrigued you and you want to go into it at your own will. You know, like, it's not one that I'm raving about and that I'm really recommending, but it's one that I'm glad that I read. So it's a tricky one to kind of describe, and it's also one that I couldn't really give a rating to because I just have mixed feelings about it. I don't know. I do also want to just point out, I know I said this in the reading vlog that I read this in, but there is definitely racism in this book, which was a difficult read and something I don't think we should be taking lightly in this book. So I did just want to mention that because that kind of blindsided me when I was reading that. That kind of caught me off guard because I hadn't heard anybody saying that about this book. Yeah, a bit of a weird one to kind of explain my experience with it, but there you go. Then I went on to start reading The Picture of Dorian Gray, another classic that I have been really wanting to read. I actually DNF'd this. I know, I just could not get on with this book at all. I think I got about 3 chapters in, so not very much at all, but they were quite long chapters. But I think it was about the 30-40 page mark that I DNF'd it. I just found it so boring, in all honesty, and I know that's probably going to be kind of controversial, but I just found it so boring. Like, nothing was happening. I also didn't love the characters from the get-go, and I think that didn't help. Like, the characters kind of annoyed me, and yeah, it just didn't have the vibe that I was hoping for. Which I know I can obviously only speak for the first 30 or 40 pages, so take that with a pinch of salt, but I did actually DNF this book. But then I picked up A Christmas Carol and I loved this. I loved this. I actually studied this back in high school in like year 10 or 11, and I wasn't a big reader back then, so it is such a different experience choosing to read it and like going into it because I want to, not because I'm forced to study it. And I just think that that was such an interesting experience, and it was a weird one because it's one that I remember like loosely the plot of it, but I don't really remember the details. I don't really remember what exactly happened, so it was really nice to go into it not really knowing that much, and I just really loved it. The atmosphere, the Christmassy like wintry setting was so good. I also loved that it was quite short, and because of that it felt quite fast paced, and I love the life lessons that Scrooge gets. I love the whole meaning of it. I think this is one for the empaths. I do. I just love it. And it made me feel very Christmassy, which is what I was wanting in the middle of November. But it really was, like, I was so in the mood for it, and it just felt so cozy, and like you just wanted to get in bed with a blanket and a hot cup of tea or a hot chocolate and cozy up and read that book. That's exactly the feeling that it had, and I had the best time reading it. This one I also didn't give a rating to because I don't tend to rate my classics. Like, I find it really difficult. I don't know if I just haven't worked out my rating scale for classics yet, but I don't tend to rate them. I don't really know why. But I really enjoyed that one, and I would definitely recommend, especially if you want to get into more classics or you want to feel more Christmassy, I would definitely recommend that one. And then I picked up Silver Elite, a very anticipated read, and you will have seen all my thoughts throughout this entire book if you've watched my most recent reading vlog, which I will also leave a link to in the description so that you can see all my in-depth thoughts and experience reading this from start to finish. And this one was a very anticipated read. It's been on my TBR literally since it was getting so much hype over on Book Talk, and I just kept putting it off and I think it's partly because, you know, when something gets so much hype that it then kind of puts you off reading it because you want to like lower your expectations a bit. So that's literally what I was doing with this, and I finally picked it up this month because it was like the 3rd time it had been on my monthly TBR, and I was like, I need to prioritize that. I actually need to. And also I was really in the mood for like a dystopian romance, so I am happy that I picked it up. But I'm not gonna lie, I don't think it lived up to my expectations that I had. And I know that's also going to be kind of controversial, but hopefully if you had the same experience with this book, you feel less alone. I enjoyed certain parts of it. The best way that I can explain this is that it felt very like up and down for me. Like the pace of it felt very up and down. My experience reading it, like I felt very, like I was so into it and it was so fast paced. I was loving the action, and then it just kind of plateau, and then it would go up again and it would be fast paced and there would be a lot of action, and then it would kind of die down a bit again. So it felt very up and down. I don't think it necessarily needed to be as long as it is, especially like the first 100 or so pages. I feel like that could have been a lot quicker. Like I think what we learned in those pages didn't need to be told in the way that it was told. I just feel as though there was something missing in kind of every aspect. Like it was almost there, but I just think it was a little bit on the lackluster side for me personally. Like the action, there was something missing there. The romance, there was something missing there. Like there was something missing in each part of it that I just wanted more from. I also wasn't sold on Ren and Cross. I just wasn't that fussed about them. Ren kind of annoyed me sometimes. And I feel like, especially towards the end, some of the decisions she made just didn't match up to the character that we'd got to know up until that point. Like she just made some decisions that did not make any sense and that were just put down to her being like a reckless character. That was the only way that they could actually explain her behaviour, because it didn't actually make sense. It didn't make sense for her character, it really didn't. And then Cross as a character, he was just a bit too much on the arrogant side for me. I think there's some things that he said that I was just like, oh, okay. Like there were parts of both of them that I liked, but then other parts that I just kind of didn't get on with so much. So yeah, definitely mixed feelings. I can see why it has so much hype, but I feel like for me personally it was just missing a few things, and I ended up giving it a rating of 3 stars. Then I picked up The Surrogate Mother by Frida McFadden, another trusty Frida, and this one, I liked this one. I did like this one. We basically have Abby who really wants a baby but she can't have one. She was actually about to adopt one until that kind of got taken away from her, and so her new assistant basically offers to be her surrogate. And that's kind of all there is to the plot of this one. I liked it, I enjoyed it. It was fast paced, easy read, and I was actually reading this while I was moving as well, and I think that was a really good book to pick up at that time, just because it didn't take too much brain power. It was easy to remember what had happened, and it's an easy one to get back into once you put it down. The plot was a little bit predictable, and I think it's one of the less memorable Fridas that I've read so far, but I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. Would recommend it. I think it's probably like middle of the road, so I rated it 3 stars. And then for the book that I'm actually currently reading that I did just want to mention in this video, I am also currently filming a reading vlog as well, so more of my thoughts throughout this book will be in that reading vlog. But the book that I'm currently reading is And Now Back to You by BK Borison. This is so exciting. This is so exciting. I was actually lucky enough to get sent an ARC edition of this. Can you believe? Can you believe this actually comes out in February next year? And I've just been so excited to read this. Like I said, I am hoping to finish it before November is over. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we shall see. I'm currently on page 140 out of 430. So a little way to go yet, but I'm enjoying this so far. It's a When Harry Met Sally inspired romance. This one we have 2 weather reporters who basically get assigned to the same job, and this job is somewhere in the mountains and there's a big storm on its way. They're basically sent to this village in the middle of nowhere to report on this big storm, like the biggest storm that's happened in years. And I think that they are going to get snowed in there, but I don't know. But at the minute I am enjoying it. I am finding it a little bit on the slower side, but then I don't know whether that's also because I have been moving, so I haven't actually had that much time to sit down and read for like an hour at a time. Like it's just been little bits here and there, and I think that does have something to do with it. But yeah, I'm enjoying it, and I'm enjoying them because they're very much opposites attract, and I really like that dynamic with how BK Borison has done that and just how they're kind of playing off against each other. I'm really enjoying that dynamic. So yeah, so far so good. Don't have a rating yet obviously because I'm not even halfway through yet, but stay tuned for that reading vlog. And they're all the books that I read in November. Please let me know what your favourite book that you read this month was. I would absolutely love to chat to you guys in the comments, and I will actually see you tomorrow for day 1 of Bookmas. Can you believe? I hope that you're as excited as I am about it. I'm honestly so excited. Have I said that yet? I'm so excited. But yeah, that's all for this video, and I will hopefully see you tomorrow. That's crazy. That's actually crazy.